Claude Code can save you hours, but only if you set it up the right way. Most people install it, open a project, type a prompt, and expect perfect results. Then Claude makes strange changes, misses important files, uses outdated documentation, or keeps asking for the same instructions again and again. The problem is not always Claude. The problem is usually the setup. In this video, you will see how to prepare Claude Code properly, set up project memory, use reusable commands, connect fresh documentation, avoid common mistakes, and build a workflow that makes Claude faster, cleaner, and easier to control. Number 1. Start with the real problem. Setting up Claude Code the right way is not just installing it and typing your first prompt. The real problem is that many people open Claude Code inside a project, ask it to build something, and then wonder why the result feels random, outdated, messy, or incomplete. Most of the time, Claude is not the main problem. The setup is the problem. Claude Code needs the right project context, the right memory, the right permissions, the right documentation source, and the right workflow. Without that, it may guess your architecture, repeat the same mistakes, use old library patterns, or make changes before it fully understands the codebase. A good setup turns Claude Code from a chat assistant into a practical coding partner that can read your project, plan changes, edit files, run checks, and help you move faster without losing control. Number 2. Install it correctly. Before changing any project files, make sure Claude Code is installed from the official source and matches your operating system. On macOS, Linux, and WSL, use the official native install command from the Claude Code documentation. On Windows, use the PowerShell command if you are inside PowerShell, or the command prompt command if you are inside CMD. This matters because a common beginner mistake is copying the wrong command into the wrong terminal. If the command fails, first check which terminal you are using before assuming Claude Code is broken. After installation, open a terminal and run Claude Code from inside a real project folder, not from a random desktop folder. Claude needs to see your repository structure, package files, tests, and source code. Then log in with a supported Claude account, console account, or approved work account. Once authentication is complete, start a fresh session inside the project root. Number 3. Prepare the project first. Before asking Claude to write code, clean up the project enough so it can understand what is happening. Make sure the project opens locally, dependencies are installed, and the normal build or test command works at least once. If your app needs an environment file, local database, Docker container, or special setup step, do not expect Claude to guess that perfectly. Put those details somewhere Claude can read them. A simple readme is useful, but for Claude Code, the most important file is CLAUDE.md. Think of this file as the project guide. It should explain the tech stack, the main folders, the build command, the test command, code style rules, naming conventions, and anything Claude usually gets wrong. Keep it clear and short. Do not fill it with vague rules like write clean code. Write exact rules like use TypeScript strict mode. Run the test command before committing, and keep API handlers in this folder. Number 4. Set up memory wisely. Claude Code starts each session with a fresh context window, so memory is what prevents you from repeating the same instructions every time. There are 2 main ideas to understand. CLAUDE.md is where you write stable instructions that should guide every session. Auto memory is where Claude can save useful learnings it discovers, such as the correct build command, common debugging notes, or your preference for one package manager over another. To manage this, use the memory command inside Claude Code and check what is loaded. If Claude ignores an instruction, do not just repeat it in chat. Add it to the right memory file or make the instruction more specific. Also remember that memory is guidance, not a hard security lock. If something must always happen, such as blocking a risky command or running a formatter after edits, use settings or hooks instead of trusting a sentence in memory. Number 5. Build reusable skills. A strong Claude Code setup should reduce repeated prompting. If you keep typing the same long instruction, turn it into a reusable skill. Older tutorials may call these custom commands, but the current idea is simple. A skill is a saved workflow that Claude can load when needed. Use skills for repeatable tasks like creating a new API endpoint with validation, reviewing a pull request, fixing lint errors, generating documentation, or checking security basics. Keep project instructions in CLAUDE.md, but move long procedures into skills because skills only load when they are used. That keeps the main context cleaner. A good skill should say when it should be used, what steps Claude should follow, what files it should inspect, what checks it should run, and what output you expect. Start with 2 or 3 skills you actually use every day instead of building a huge library you never maintain. Number 6. Connect fresh documentation. One of the biggest reasons Claude Code gives bad answers is stale documentation. Frameworks, SDKs, payment tools, database clients, and deployment platforms change often. If Claude writes code based on an old API, the code may look confident but fail immediately. This is where MCP servers become useful. MCP means Model Context Protocol. In simple terms, it connects Claude Code to outside tools and data sources. A documentation MCP, such as Context 7, can help Claude fetch current version-specific docs instead of relying only on training data. The practical habit is simple. When working with fast-changing libraries, tell Claude to use the documentation tool before writing code. This is especially important for Next.js, Supabase, Stripe, Versal, database clients, authentication libraries, and anything recently updated. If docs are not connected, paste the exact version and the relevant docs link into the task. Number 7. Add MCP servers carefully. MCP can also connect Claude Code to databases, browsers, issue trackers, monitoring tools, and internal APIs. That is powerful, but it also adds risk. Do not connect every MCP server just because it sounds useful. Start with the lowest risk tools first, like documentation search or read-only project context. Then add stronger tools only when you truly need them. For example, a browser testing MCP can help Claude inspect the page, read console errors, and verify a front-end bug visually. A database MCP can help it understand tables and queries, but write access should be limited unless you are intentionally doing migrations. A payments MCP can be useful for Stripe-related tasks, but it should never be treated casually. Before connecting any server, ask what data it can read, what actions it can perform, and whether you trust the source. More tools do not always mean better results. Sometimes they create more confusion. Number 8. Use subagents for tasks. Subagents are best used for focused tasks, not fake job titles. A common mistake is telling one agent to be a product manager, another to be a designer, and another to be a senior developer, then expecting them to work like a real team. That often creates vague output. A better setup is task-based. Use one subagent to explore the codebase, one to review recent changes, one to inspect the user interface, one to generate documentation, or one to research updated docs. The value is that each subagent works in its own context and returns only the useful result, instead of flooding the main conversation with logs and file dumps. For example, before a big feature, ask the main Claude session to plan the work, then delegate research to a read-only subagent. After implementation, use another subagent to review changed files for bugs, missing tests, and inconsistent patterns. Number 9. Control permissions and workflow. Claude Code is most useful when it can act, but you should still control when and how it acts. In the beginning, let Claude ask before editing files or running important commands. Once you trust the workflow for a specific session, you can allow more actions but avoid blindly approving everything in a serious project. Use plan mode before large changes. Ask Claude to inspect the codebase first, explain the approach, list the files it expects to touch, and only then start editing. After edits, ask it to show the diff, Run tests if available, fix failures, and explain what changed. For complex work, break the task into small steps. Do not say build the whole dashboard. Say first inspect the existing dashboard structure, then create the data layer, then build the component, then add loading and error states, then test the result. Number 10. Check the setup after every change. The right setup is not finished after one installation. It improves every time Claude makes a mistake. If Claude uses the wrong package manager, add that to memory. If it forgets the test command, put it in CLAUDE.md. If it repeats a manual workflow, turn that workflow into a skill. If it keeps using outdated docs, connect a documentation MCP or make the docs requirement part of the task prompt. The context gets too crowded, clear the session and start again with the project memory still in place. Before production, never assume AI-generated code is safe just because it works once. Review the diff, check security-sensitive areas, run tests, check error handling, check performance, and make sure secrets were not exposed. Claude Code can speed up development, but the human still owns the code. The right setup is the one that makes Claude faster, more accurate, and easier to control.